Hello everybody, my name is Kiara, aka kiaras.bookshelf, and welcome to my channel. For this week's video, I decided it was finally time to do a Halloween related reading vlog. So I am going to be reading Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, which is supposed to be a Sally POV of her life with Jack after The Nightmare Before Christmas. When I first heard about this book, I thought the premise was really interesting because I feel like The Nightmare Before Christmas ended on a completed story. It didn't feel like there were any plot holes or cliffhangers. I'm interested to see in how this story can expand on the world and on this character. In the movie, I feel like Sally was such a complex character, and I remember liking her more than Jack, which was interesting. So I am hoping that this story can only make my love for her grow. If you guys have read this book, then definitely let me know because I love talking to you guys about these things. And with that, let's get on with the vlog. Okay guys, so I just reached chapter 8 of Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. I'm actually really surprised. I am loving this story so far. So the story starts with Jack and Sally getting married, and they immediately go off on their honeymoon to Valentine's Day town, which I thought was really cool that they're still using the holiday doors to tell the story for this. And I feel like it was a really cute introduction into what it's like in other world. In the Valentine's Day world, everything is like pink and there's like little cupids flying everywhere, and I thought it was really cute that across all of the holidays people go to the Valentine's Day world specifically for honeymoons. Immediately when they come back from their honeymoon, Jack is literally taken away to do the duties of being a mayor, I guess, and Sally is instantly resentful. She hates the fact that people keep bothering them, that people keep calling her queen. She hates the fact that she can't just stay in her own little bubble with Jack. And in the midst of feeling this way, she decides to run away, specifically to the woods and back to the doors. Her plan is to go back to the Valentine's Day world, but the dog ends up, I guess, leading her astray deeper into the woods. And this is where you discover that there is a new door that was never opened but just happens to be in Halloween Town. I thought this was really cool because it said that the door looks really old. There's like vines like growing off of it because no one has touched it. And of course, Sally feels really tempted, but I also blame the dog as well for this. I feel like I blame the dog because he's the one that kind of led her there in the first place, like messing with her. But then once she actually got to the door, it seemed like the dog instantly regrets it, but it was too late. The minute she becomes interested in it, she of course opens the door, and at first I thought she was going to get sucked in, but it turns out that she was able to close it. I was really confused by this because immediately after that she just goes back to the town, but it's actually discovered that she didn't close the door all the way. She left it cracked. In the midst of doing that, she unleashed a new creature, I guess, from a new world, and that is the Sandman. And so far, I'm really liking the Sandman because he has a really eerie, mysterious presence to him. He immediately puts everyone to sleep except for Sally, and I like that there are scenes of Sally watching him go around the town sprinkling sand on people, and Sally is immediately creeped out. She's confused. Thank goodness the dog is a ghost, so he won't be able to go to sleep, but Sally is still able to, so now she has to pretty much figure out what is going on, who this guy is because she doesn't know yet, and basically how to save everyone. I think I like the story for two reasons. One, because this is a really original premise for a retelling, and two, everything is really fast paced. It's really easy to read. If you wanted, you can definitely get this done in a day. This is perfect for people that are like coming out of a reading slump or they're first starting out with reading. I feel like people would really like this. So I'm really excited to keep reading, especially because I believe the Sandman is starting to realize that someone is still awake in Halloween Town, which means that Sally is definitely going to be in danger, and that's really interesting. Okay, so it is time for an update because a lot's happened, and I feel like if I keep reading, then I'm just gonna forget to update the vlog, and I really don't want to do that. So Sally finally realizes that she's the one who released the Sandman into the world, so she ends up going to the other holiday towns to ask for help, and it turns out everyone is asleep except for this one leprechaun, I guess, in St. Patrick's Town. I honestly feel like her meeting someone that was awake in these worlds wasn't necessary if there wasn't gonna be like a companion arc, but whatever. I guess that was just a pet peeve of mine. So it turns out the door that Sally opened was called Dreamtown, and she decides that she's gonna go there, see if anyone is awake, and asks if they can help her. But when she goes, it seems like this town is really weird. Everyone is like dreary, obviously, because it's Dreamtown. There are people that are in charge of giving the humans dreams, and I thought that was really fascinating. It seemed like a huge organization, I guess. There was like a factory and there's a billion workers and everyone has to wear pajamas and things like that. So as she's asking for help, she ends up finding the mayors of the town, and they end up being two ragdolls. Now I thought this was really cool because these ragdolls are Sally's parents, and she originally was born in Dreamtown. I guess someone from Halloween Town snuck in and stole her for some reason. I thought that was kind of weird, the fact that her parents like didn't go after her and help her if they knew like where the person that kidnapped her came from. So now Sally finally has help. Her parents are going to help her, I guess, defeat the Sandman or maybe bring him back to their world. I'm really interested to see how this ends up going because they pretty much acted like this Sandman was so invincible. Everyone's afraid of him. In this dream town, they don't even like to say his name. So I am curious if he talks. I'm curious how much like of a threat he can be when Sally like actually gets closer to him, because I feel like she just narrowly missed him when he was in Halloween Town. So I'm going to keep reading, finish this book, and I will give you guys an update on what I think, my final thoughts, my ratings, all of that. I definitely hope that this will end up being a 5-star. So far, it's like at a 4, and I really feel like the ending of this will determine what my final rating will be. Okay guys, so I officially finished Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, and I would definitely say that I'm pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. I think my favorite part about this story, other than it being completely original, is the fact that it was so fast-paced and everything tied together in the end so perfect. I feel like sometimes when books are this short, it can feel like everything is rushed, but I feel like the pacing was just so well done, and towards the end, I even wished that this book was even longer just to see what else could happen. So towards the end, Sally's parents end up closing the door to their world so the Sandman can't get in, but this means that he's going to just be left to wander in all of the other worlds, and Sally cannot let that happen. So she ends up going back to Halloween Town, where she pretty much plans to trick the Sandman. I really like how clever Sally is towards the end of this book, and honestly, I'm really surprised that the Sandman was even able to fall for her tricks. She basically ended up creating dummies that looked like her, and she placed them all around Halloween Town because the Sandman wants to put her to sleep. And I find it really weird that he was going around and flicking sand on these ragdolls, not realizing that they all looked the same until he realized that as he was flicking the sand, he wasn't actually noticing her body slump over. And I thought that was kind of cool that he like pays attention to all those little details. So when he flicks the sand on one of her dummies and her body doesn't slump over, he pretty much like goes to touch her and realizes that it's a fake, and he pretty much goes on a rampage looking for her. And I will say I was really nervous for Sally because she started panicking and running and she tried to hide, but ultimately the Sandman ended up catching up to her. And the only reason why the Sandman wasn't able to put her to sleep is because while he was going around looking at these fake dummies and sprinkling sand on them, she went to the fountain and poured in a sleeping potion. And so when the Sandman caught up to her, she ended up pushing him into the fountain and he fell asleep. It doesn't really say if he ever woke up. I think he's going to be asleep forever, and honestly I think it's completely well deserved. And the minute that he fell asleep, everyone woke up in Halloween Town. It's also implied that in the other towns, people woke up from their sleep as well. So I overall feel like while the Sandman was a really good villain to the story, I feel like Sally's parents could kind of count as villains as well. I didn't like the fact that they were really selfish. On one hand, I understood that they just wanted to keep their daughter in their world because she was kidnapped and they felt like they could finally be a family again. But I felt like they were really selfish in the way that they did it, because if Sally had listened to her parents, they pretty much would have just let the Sandman roam around in other worlds forever, but their world would be closed to him. And that just didn't seem right to Sally, and it didn't seem right to me either. So I'm really glad that she didn't listen to her parents and she just went off and ultimately did her own thing and ended up saving the world. I think this is a really good story for people that are just getting into reading. I feel like Sally is actually a really important main character because she pretty much finds her voice throughout the story. And while in the beginning she felt like she wasn't a queen and that she wasn't fit for the